Alright, so we're going to be getting into a little more complicated stuff now in our non-destructive editing. We're going to take this picture of Stephen F. Austin and we're going to try to turn it into this picture. So you see down here we're going to get rid of that distracting light, and we're going to get rid of that very distracting set of electric pole and wires. So the light here and these electric pole. That's what we're going to be getting rid of in this video. So this is lesson 8.2. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to do is, of course, we never want to destroy our original, no matter how much we don't like this light pole and lamp in the front. We're not going to destroy that because we might want to come back to it later. So the first thing we're going to do is make a copy and turn off our background layer. Okay, so we're going to call this Stephen F. Austin. Okay. So the first thing we want to do is let's take our magnifying glass and we're going to zoom in a little bit down here. We want to get rid of this because it's kind of in the way of his name a little bit, and it's definitely just very distracting. So what we're going to do is something called Content Aware Fill. So I'm going to be using a lasso tool. So I like the polygon lasso, but you can use a regular one if you want. So here's the regular lasso. We're just going to draw around. Really don't want to get rid of the letters. So we're going to draw around that. And then up here under Image, under Edit, we're going to go to Fill. And you have some different choices. It might be on foreground or whatever. We're going to choose Content Aware, and we're just going to click OK. And then the magic happens. So this time it didn't do so great. Not too thrilled with that version of the Content Aware Fill. So we're going to go back in our history. So you can either go to Window and turn on the History palette or just pop it out if you have this tool right here. So let's go back to the lasso, and then we're going to go to Select, Deselect, and alright, I'm going to choose a polygon lasso this time. I like that one better. So. Alright, so when I've finished making my selection, alright, I'm going to go back over here to Edit, Fill, Content Aware Fill, and click OK. That's a little better. I'm okay with that one. Okay, so let's just, you can either go over here on your marquee tool, or you can go to Select, Deselect, to deselect all that. I'm going to get my magnifying glass again, and this time I'm going to hold down the Alt key. You see what happens when I hold the Alt key. It goes from a plus to a minus, and then I'm going to zoom out. Okay. Alright, so now we're going to use that same Content Aware Fill that we just finished using. I'm going to use my polygon lasso again. I just like it because it has a little more control. So I'm going to just get the lines, because if you get too much at one time when you try to do Content Aware Fill, there's not enough content for it to choose from. So we're just going to go back to Fill and Content Aware, click OK. This time it's going to take a little bit longer to think. Okay, so I got a little too close to his head, and you see what happened. Alright, so let's go backwards and then deselect. Okay, so let's do a smaller section at a time, and then try this Content Aware Fill again. It's okay if we got a little bit of a tree over here. I'm alright with that. I don't like the fact that it's still putting in the lines, the power lines. It's kind of what I'm trying to get rid of. So I'm trying it. See if it'll get rid of some more of that for me. Okay, so it wants to keep adding. So sometimes Content Aware Fill does a really great job, and other times it's not so great. So I'm just going to go here, select, deselect. So let's try another method. I think we'll try one more Content Aware Fill, just over here. See if we can get a little bit of this sky on this side. Won't let me do it. I guess you gotta use the polygon lasso. Let's just use a regular lasso. Maybe that'll be more successful. Okay. Oh, I'm not on the layer. Remember, you gotta always be on the layer. Okay. Fill. Let's see if it does a better job. No, still doing a terrible job. Okay, so deselect. So let's try a different technique called the Clone Stamp Tool. So this is the Clone Stamp Tool. When I click on it, now up here you have your brush size. So you can change the size of the brush, make it a little bit bigger. Make mine 100 pixels. I'm just going to type it in 100 px. Enter. Okay, so here's the size of my brush. Now I'm going to come down here and make my photograph bigger. I just typed in 25% down here in the corner. Okay, so now the way that you're going to use this is you're just going to hold down the Alt key and it gives you a little target. So you're going to click the area where you want to copy from, and basically what we're doing is just copying the sky. You want to copy a similar size sky. In fact, I'm going to make my brush size a little bigger because then it's going to pick more of the sky and be a little more, just a little better at matching the color of the sky. You see, if I get too close, it wants to copy those. You gotta keep reselecting the sky. I have to keep coming back over here, selecting it again, and again and again. Right. Okay. I don't want to get too close. I definitely don't want to grab his head. All right. Oops. So I got a little bit of the power pole there. Okay. So now I'm going to try that Content Aware Fill again. Let's see what happens if I draw a circle here and I try Content Aware Fill. Let's see what happens now. I don't have as many of those power lines. Let's see if it'll. There, it did a much better job this time. Right? And I can keep doing it. Let's see what happens. It kind of should like smooth out the colors a little bit, so it's not so obvious that I, used a little trick that I used. Okay, so another thing we can do here is I can just come in here and I can mask off his head. And I'm just going to zoom in right here. And I'm going to use my polygon lasso tool. I'm going to get really close to the side of his head. Very, very close. And then we're going to just select that area. Right. Put a little feather on that, maybe like 3 pixels. It's going to soften the edges around it. Okay. And I'm going to zoom back out with my magnifying glass. Now I'm going to use my Clone Stamp Tool again. I'm going to use it from this side because it doesn't have no head over there. So I'm just going to grab from over here. And you see now I can get as close to the edge of his head because I totally masked that off. Now watch what happens when I deselect. Right. Over here. Select, deselect. So you can kind of see where I made that. So now what am I going to do again? use my lasso tool, right, and go back to that content aware fill. Hope that it doesn't grab his head again. Okay, there we go. It's a lot better. Just got some randomness to the sky there. Okay, that's not too bad. So, 4 more minutes in this tutorial. I'm going to try to also get rid of the rest of this pole, because otherwise, if you look closely, you can still see that the power pole is still there. So we're going to do just like what we did before. We're going to grab our polygon lasso. In fact, I'm going to get really close, as close as I can. Grab my polygon lasso. And I'm just going to mask off the edges of his ear with my 3 pixel mask. Right. Okay. So you notice as I push it down, it pushes the color. I can push the rest of the picture down. Right. Okay. Right. I can push it back up as well. I'm going to kind of go out a little bit here. Alright. So now I'm going to do just like I did before with the clone stamp tool. But I'm going to make the brush a little bit smaller. Maybe in the 90s or 80s. Okay. And grab my Alt key. Select some brush, some of well, I just want to copy this, copy this tree a little bit. I pick from different areas so that it's not always the same. There we go. Try to fix that there. There we go. Not too bad. Okay, so I'll get my magnifying glass and zoom back out. I'm going to deselect. And that's not too bad at all. Right now, you can see that we got rid of that distracting light. We got rid of that very distracting lamp pole. And Stephen F. Austin, he looks a lot better than he did before. We're going to come up here. We're going to save as. And we're going to call this your name, Stephen F. And we're going to make it a PNG file and then save. Go ahead and load that into the classroom and we're going to be pretty good to go.